Thank you, Chairman Durbin. Dean Goluboff, thank you for your testimony today. Like Judge Jackson, you also clerked for Justice Breyer, and you're a well-respected dean of a prominent law school. I just wanted to ask a few quick questions of you and a number of other witnesses, if I might. Judge Jackson's jurisprudence has been questioned or challenged, in particular with reference to her opinion in Make the Road New York. Is it your view that she, either in that case or in other cases you may have considered or reviewed, has overstepped the role of the court and has engaged in a jurisprudence that gets outside her lane as a judge?
Thank you for the question, Senator. It is absolutely my view that she does not get outside her lane. She, I think, comes down in cases on both sides, depending on what she sees in the facts and how she applies precedents. I think she has been assiduous and conscientious, both in that case and in others, to think about precisely the kinds of questions that Professor Mascott mentions. What is the role of the court? How much deference to offer to the other branches? How to ensure procedural consistency? She is, I think, quite consistent and very committed to the text and to precedent.
And given your experience with Justice Breyer, what do you think anyone who's clerked for the justice might have learned about an even-handed and impartial manner and consensus building on the court?
Well, I certainly learned, and I think anyone who clerked for him also learned that exactly what you described is crucial to being a good justice, to taking every case on its own terms, to asking what the Constitution says about the particular case at hand, which includes the original public meaning, which Judge Jackson has said, but does not end with the original public meaning. Originalism is really a capacious term, and even among originalists, there are a lot of disagreements about how cases should come out. Justice Scalia and Justice Thomas disagree quite considerably about how much to consider precedent or not in their own decisions. And the interpretive part of constitutional interpretation is really the first part. You look to original public meaning, that's what Judge Jackson has said she would do. And then the second part is you apply it. And you have to consider the facts of the case and precedent when you do that. And I think Justice Breyer taught all of us that the best way to do that is in conversation with justices across the court and taking the deliberative process very seriously, which he did, creating real relationships across justices so that you can have real conversations and learn from each other as you wrestle with these really hard questions. I don't think we would spend quite so much time thinking about the judge's approach or qualifications if the interpretive process were just automatic and mechanical. It requires judgment, it requires discernment, and that's what Justice Breyer taught us.
To follow up on a previous exchange, do you have any doubt that Joseph Robinette Biden Jr. is the duly elected president of the United States?
I do not.
Thank you. Captain, if I might, Captain Thomas, I was a county executive of a county that had the second largest police force in my admittedly small state. We had a very active chapter of Noble. I have a long working relationship with some Noble leadership, and I'm thrilled that you are here as the head of Noble, our nation's largest law enforcement organization of black law enforcement officers, which has also endorsed Judge Jackson's nomination. How do you view her record, her commitment to public safety, her engagement with the law enforcement community?
Well, thank you, Senator. With all the information that we have received, different notes from different organizations, I feel very confident in her nomination for this seat. I'd like to make a statement. Her temperament, her fairness, her respect for the law, and her honor of the Constitution make Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson exactly what we should expect from someone who will rule on matters that will affect our country and judicial system for generations.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Captain, and thank you for the clarity and forcefulness of that endorsement. Congresswoman, I might just ask you a closing question. I've been struck at Judge Jackson's personal story and at the central role that the doors of opportunity opened by HBCUs to her parents has played in that impressive arc of her story. I'd just be interested in your sharing with us the role that HBCUs play in our education system, in our nation, and in providing that remarkable pathway forward.
Thank you for that question. And as an HBCU graduate, as well as all 5 of my siblings, I can speak to that directly. I had an opportunity to probably attend any university that I wanted to, first generation going to college. But thank goodness for my parents who said to me that I would be more balanced and more grounded as a young girl coming from public school system in an inner city school, that they thought it was important for me to do that and then later go wherever I wanted to. I think it gives you that extra sense of confidence. I think it also made me value that diversity. I had people from the continent of Africa teaching me. It was the first time in my history that I had seen so many professors and scholars who looked like me. So it made me soar when I walked into other rooms. I think like Judge Jackson, when I heard her tell her story of how she felt that first week or month at Harvard, but it was, I believe, her success and confidence and wind beneath her wing, her parents. Her parents and that grounding of HBCU universities, and that's what they do for so many of us.
Thank you.
So I think it plays a valuable role.
Thank you, Congressman. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks, Senator Coons. Senator